All right, here we are. It's the very first one. We are WAC Hoops All Access. We have Mr. WAC Hoops Digest in the building. First of all, we got to say, if you ever need to know anything about the WAC Basketball Conference, this is your guy. How do they find you on social? Let's take a quick second to talk about how this WAC Hoops Digest came about.
Brian, first off, I'm so excited to be here tonight and to be doing this with you throughout the season. You can find us on Twitter at WAC Hoops Digest. So a couple of years ago, to break down where it came from, I started a fan website for Utah Valley. It's where I graduated from in 2017, called OneTeamAllGreen.com. Started covering the men's basketball team, wrote some power rankings articles, and saw the traffic I got from other schools, like fans of other schools. And that's when I decided, hey, there's nobody that really covers the WAC as a whole.
Yep.
Because you got Mid-Major Madness that covers all the conferences and, all that. And Greg Mitchell wrote articles once a week about the WAC, but nobody covered it as a whole. And so I was like, let's just start it. Let's see what it does, how it takes off. And 2,000 followers later on Twitter and, traffic continuing to grow. It's just, coaches telling us they love what we're doing and they love the articles. And some even say when they open up Twitter, we're like the first place that they turn for information for, their scout and stuff. So it's just been fantastic. I love the access that we're given. And it's such a fun conference. And as, we'll talk about later, it's enjoyable to watch. It's good basketball.
Yep, high-level basketball, and it's gotten better and better with the new teams. And speaking of new teams, we have the associate head coach for one of the new programs in the WAC. You can see a little bit of the color scheme in the background. Somebody I've known for a long time and have seen him climb from the junior college ranks back in the day to all the way to being an associate head coach now in the WAC, and now going soon. He probably don't want to talk about this, but soon going to Conference USA. So he's climbing his way up. Really respect the job that he does and excited for them to get off to such a great start. 3-1, Chris Mudge in the building.
Hey, guys. Appreciate y'all having me.
Man. Yeah.
The inaugural WAC Hoops podcast talk.
The inaugural. You're here. We're going to put you on the hot seat. Hold on. Let's set up the hot seat. There it is. Boom. He's there. All right. We'll start out the gate. So non-conference, you got a lot of new players. A lot of new guys, non-conference, normally for Sam Houston State in a lot of ways because it's been built up by Coach Hooten and yourself doing it together and whatever staff members you have with you. But you've had a lot of people come and go. You guys have been the constants. I'm sure you probably have like a list somewhere of all the people that have been there. But I say that it didn't necessarily get off maybe in the way that you wanted. But who cares because conference play, you're 3-1 now. So talk about the difference and just the maturation of the team, a lot of new guys, a lot of new stuff to put in, a lot of you learning them learning you, them learning each other, but you're playing your best ball at the right time. Talk a little bit about it.
Well, we're blessed that we've got a really resilient group, and we were able to see a lot of that in our pre-conference games. So we played maybe the best pre-conference schedule we ever have, and we always play a very difficult one, but this one especially was tough with almost no home games, and we always played a bunch of high majors who were all very good. And we played pretty well against them. And then the mid majors we played are likely tournament teams. And it really helped us to continue to get better. Whereas in the short term, we lost some of those games that sometimes we would win. But in terms of the journey and the process, it helped us really improve a lot. And just like you said, really get to know our guys, because this group, like every group, I mean, this is our 12th year here at Sam Houston. Every group is totally different. And we had a bunch of new guys. More than half our team was new off of a very successful team last year. And we had new guys, and we had to learn how to coach them offensively, defensively, motivation, rotations, what guys good at this, good at that. And we had to do it in the fire a little bit because practice is just different. And so this group has been incredibly resilient and connected, and that has helped us continue to get better, which I think we have, and hopefully we will continue, which we have to, as the WAC is very good top to bottom. And so if we don't continue to get better, then other ones will. And this group, coaching them every day is a lot of fun. They bring it. They want to be coached. They are winners in their hearts. And that's the kind of culture that, coaches built, and the players have continued year to year. Even when we get new teams, we had 7 new guys this year. Their culture came from the 5 returners that we had. And that's been the blessing and the fun part, seeing it. And we're seeing a little bit of the results, but it's not, 3-1 it's early in the WAC, and every stretch is tough. Road games are incredibly difficult. Even the home games are hard because there's not gimmies in this league. And that takes a special level of focus and intensity that is good for our guys to continue to learn, to help us continue to get better, to play at that level night in and night out.
Chris, I want to ask you, the struggle through the non-conference was real. I mean, like you said, you played some high majors, you played some mid-majors that are going to be tournament teams. You lose to Bradley. Like, you got beat pretty bad in El Paso by Bradley.
Yep.
Came back. You won that game against NC Central to close out the non-conference slate. Now you're 3-1, like Brian had mentioned. How important was that to get that win to end non-conference as you started into this new, I guess, journey through the Western Athletic Conference?
Oh, it was that's a great point. Not just going into the break, but also finishing that first season. We talk about the season being, we have 3 different seasons, the pre-conference season, conference season, and then tournament season. And to end that one on a high note gave a good taste in our mouth and gave us some belief. If you want to talk Ted Lasso, some believe sign on the wall that we can do it. And then when we do play our way, when we do play together and connected and as a team and our style, that it will work, and we played Bradley. They've got a great team. They're very good. They're obviously doing well in their league, and we didn't play like us. And so it was more of, kind of a mirror wake-up call. Like, this is what happens when you don't. This is what happens when you do. And it gives confidence moving forward of, okay, when we do these things that equate to winning for our team, we can be successful, and we need to build on that. So it was huge for us and something that we really needed, just like beating Abilene the other day, who's a great program. Coach Tanner's doing a great job with them. It was our first true road win. We'd won some neutral games, but it was the first true road win because we played some really tough teams on the road. And it was another notch of, hey, we could believe in this, because we can do this in a hostile environment. A lot of fans there against a well-coached team who is tough and intense like us. We went up, we went down, and we kept fighting. Say, we can do this together without all of our guys. And so, just like you said, you guys know how important momentum is, and you know how important the psyche of belief is. And I think our guys got a little bit of that, beating NC Central, who's well-coached and tough, and probably going to win their league. So makes you feel good when you go to the locker room and say, we beat a good team playing like us.
Yeah. I want to ask you too, adding Savon Flag after you lose Zach Nuttall in the offseason, who goes to SMU. I mean, Savion's leading the WAC right now in scoring. I still marvel when you guys played Tarleton. He had 0 points in the first half, and he finished with 18 points. Like, and it's not just the points though. He's almost in double digits in rebounding too. Like, how nice is it to you lose a guy like Zach Nuttall, but now you bring in a Savon Flag that maybe does a little bit more than Zach did.
And there are different players, and I don't want to compare them because they're both great. And Zach is one of the favorite guys I've ever coached. And now Savon, along with the other guys on our team, is becoming that also. But you and I both know that coaches look a lot better when you have really good players and putting them in position to be successful. And I think part of us figuring out how to coach this team with guys like Savon and our other new guys, JD Ray, I mean, I could go down the list, was figuring out where they are best to be successful. And I think Savon, among others, has done an awesome job of buying into the culture and caring about winning and caring about his teammates. And that takes time for new guys. But he's definitely a joy to have and a joy to coach. He's a great young man. His family is great. Obviously a very talented player that can do a lot of things, not just on this level, but against teams on any level. So we're obviously very excited to have him, and not just losing Zach, but other guys that we did. He, along with our other new guys, really made the transition a lot easier because they do have a lot of talent and they do care about winning and they do care about the culture. They're not just trying to do it for them. A lot of guys that might have come from one level, a high major level, Power 5 level, to a mid-major plus level, could be thinking, all right, I'm going to do me.
Yeah.
Right.
And luckily, Savon hasn't done that, and whatever, I'm not in his mind, whatever it is, his actions and his belief and his leadership combined with the other returners that we had who helped set the culture. They came in and said, hey, this is how it goes here. This is what we do here. And I think Savon bought in 2 feet, and I think he's seen the success from that. He's seen that those winning things and those culture help him be really successful in the ways that he thought he would be. And he's going to be an important piece, just like a lot of our other guys are, trying to make a run in it. You got to have good players to play in this league. I mean, you look from the top down, there's pros in these teams, on well-coached teams that are deep. And so having guys like that is imperative. But I also think this level, one thing I really enjoy about the WAC so far is just this level is really good for guys like him to come in and have great exposure on a national level while also showing their skill set, being able to set themselves up for their future, playing against good teams. You see night in, night out who he plays and puts up good numbers. Anyone around the world, any league in the world, NBA on down, could say, okay, that dude can play. He's playing guys every night and he is productive with good percentages and, in a winning team. Those things sets guys up for their future really well because that if you're producing in the WAC, you can produce on a lot of different levels. And I think that he and some other guys are really seeing that and getting the benefits of that.
Yeah, I got a two-part one. First part, the new league, right? So obviously you're getting another caliber player. I don't know that Savon Flag transferred to Sam Houston State if you're in the South.
Yep.
So talk about a little bit of how the recruiting you think has changed even so far. And then secondly, how much does going into the league with some familiarity with some of these teams that have come with you? You just got a huge win at Abilene, against Abilene. That team came in with you. So there was some familiarity. You don't have to learn everybody brand new. Doesn't make it any easier because we know how good Abilene's been.
Yep.
But talk about those two things, if you don't mind, when it comes to the WAC.
For sure. Recruiting has definitely been different. And we were in a league before in the Southland that at the top was really, really good. And you talk about Stephen F., us, Nichols, going on down. I don't mean to leave anybody out because there was a lot of good teams. But for some reason, especially in the state of Texas, the viewpoint of it from coaches and kids and things didn't match up with how good the teams were. And so a lot of times in recruiting, we would lose based on level type things. And I think kids have listened more just saying that we are in the WAC when they realize when we talk about who else is in the league and the national notoriety of those teams. And they say, oh, you're going to play with them every night. And that's going to get you on national TV. And you're going to get to showcase what you can do on that. They listen a little longer. That second phone call is a lot easier when you get to say that you're going to the WAC in the first one and they can see what guys have done and those kind of things. And so it has definitely helped because then they listen to the success that we've had here at Sam Houston. And then they listen to what our guys have done and been able to do successfully in the honors that they have. And that makes things a lot easier for sure. And it helps that, we have 12 years of scouts of Abilene. They have every one of our play calls. We have every one of theirs. And so it's one less one that we have to just start from scratch on. And we played RGV the last couple of years, so that certainly helped with some personnel and things like that. But there's also new coaches in the league. Coach Brooks down at Lamar does a great job. And even though we've played them forever, it's all new. And they're doing new things and doing a very good job. And so it's been interesting because we had scouted the same guys, gone to the same towns, eaten at the same restaurants for 12 years. And it's totally new. Travel is new. Coaching styles are new. I mean, even within the WAC, there's two very distinct styles of how teams play. Mm-hmm. And you can go from one night playing a team that is in your face, denying every pass all over the court, pressuring you 94 feet, to a pack line, huge, tall, 5 positions team. And you have to be able to adjust, which is something we talked a lot about in recruiting, is the versatility you have to have for this league, because it's not just one size fits all. You'll play New Mexico State Grand Canyon on a swing, and they're incredibly different, and you have to be able to be successful in your style against both of those. So it's definitely been interesting, and another challenge for us, Nice as an assistant coach, almost to have a new challenge and to have a new thing to be working for personally, developmentally, and for our team and all that kind of stuff. I see the videos, JD Ray getting a shout out for the floater off the glass, and Coach Hooten working on his dance moves, celebrating with the guys.
Can Coach Hooten dance? I don't know if that's. Do you call that dancing? Is that what you call it?
No, he told the guys afterwards he was a wallflower, but when he was hanging out, but he was hanging out with the guys, but his finger wag was strong. That's for sure.
It was strong. It was definitely strong.
You get a road win, those feelings are going. Who knows what comes out sometimes.
We should have got the clip of the. I mean, I think it's on the shot on the game-winning shot. I don't know who was it through that clipboard. I think that was even more impressive than the shot.
It was our manager, Seth Benton, and the height and distance he got on his notebook throw was very impressive and shows his high level of caring about Sam Houston, why he's going to be a great coach, as he really cares. And immediately told him, go get that. That has all the play calls of the other team. You need to go get that. We need that thing. But it was a great win, and not just for the way it ended, but against that caliber of team. And that's one of those things every night. You get a road win in this league, you should be celebrating by throwing your notebook, because
you get a road win in any league, but especially in the league as high level of play as the WAC. I would definitely agree with that.
Absolutely.
Kyle get one more, and then you got a funny story you got to tell us before you leave. But I'll let Kyle get the last one before that.
Chris, I want to ask you. You mentioned that about being ready to play different styles on different nights, and you guys, not this week, but the week after, you get New Mexico State and Grand Canyon, who, different styles than you've seen and that you're used to. How do you combat that in a way? That you haven't played them a lot, so you don't know them, but you also, I'm curious about that, because I've talked to other people in the WAC and they've given some interesting answers on that.
It is interesting, and I think that, we've all watched each other on film, but it doesn't do justice in either way. It doesn't do justice for how big Grand Canyon and Utah Valley are and how talented some of those guys are. I don't think on film it does justice to how hard Tarleton, SFA, Abilene, maybe some of us really play. It doesn't do justice how physical and tough New Mexico State is going to rebound the ball every time a shot goes up. And so I think that a big thing in recruiting and or deciding your style is, all right, how can we make our style work against these different types of other teams? And what can be effective? What is something that can work against really big teams, can work against a 4-guard lineup, can work against pressure, can work against pack line, and how do we adjust it? And I think that comes from day one of practice, is building in those things. So you're not just doing it on the game plan 2-day prep. You have built into your offense and your defense already these adjustments and how you're going to make your style be the winner, because every game is a contrast of styles in one way or another. You're trying to assert your will in one thing while they're trying to do theirs. And being able to have things built in over the course of time, not just getting ready for one game that you've been working on for months. And a little bit of that, I think, is why we maybe weren't quite as good in the non-conference as we had been previously, as we were trying to build some of that stuff in. And we'd recruited a little bit differently to help us combat the size of the league while also being able to handle some of the pressure teams and teams that really get after you and are physical, while staying the way that we are, playing really hard, being versatile, getting up and down the floor, shooting a lot of threes, things like that. So it's really a part of the process kind of from day one to be able to do that. And it will be interesting to see how that plays out when we get into the fight of it and say, okay, this is different than we thought because of this. We hadn't played Tarleton before. And so it was good to go play them. Now we have a feel for a lot of things that maybe we thought on film, but then you don't realize till you play it. And then from here on out, you understand it much more by feeling it and seeing it live going forward.
Yeah, well said. I see you're good at this. So let's see how good you are at storytelling funny stories.
Oh, I'm terrible.
On the hot seat. I'm sure you've been there 12 years. You got to give us at least one Sam Houston State story? You've been in 12 years. You got to have one.
We've had a lot. Some we can mention on air, some not. But I would say
are not air appropriate. We do know that.
One of my favorite ones, and we've had many, is a guy, Burton, you know really well, Gilberto Clavel.
Yes.
He came back. He had a break in his professional season, and he came back and surprised us. Showed up one day full of energy and juice and excitement, hugging everybody in the entire town, as you know that he does. And he is a golden god on campus. And he went to the NCAA tournament, was player of the year, All-American, all those things, but he's just infectious personality. So he comes to our game. And in the first half of our game, I think it was against Houston Baptist, who always plays us tough. You know, we got up pretty big. And then at halftime, he comes in the locker room. Our coaches go to the side. And we go in, and he is just going off on our guys. You're not playing hard enough. You got to be tougher. You're better than that. That guy's killing you. And coach comes in and is like, hey, gee, chill out, man. Why don't you go outside for a second? And so coach comes in, and coach is calm. He's like, hey, we got to do this. We got to do that better. And, you know, we're holding G outside. He's like, no, you got to play better. That's not Sam Houston basketball. And so in the second half, we were up 25 with 4 minutes to go. And it was the craziest 4 minutes I've ever seen in my life, because we ended up going to triple overtime. And we call a timeout with 2 minutes to go. And Gilberto jumps down from the stands and gets in the middle of our huddle and is doing the same thing. And you know his competitive juices were going. I don't know if the guys understood one word he said. He was talking a million miles a minute. But our guys had juice after that, and we played hard.
They knew his juice, though. They knew his passion.
And a guy that he hadn't played, gosh, it was 9 years before then he had graduated. And his juice for Sam Houston basketball could not be contained by halftime, by security guards, by anything. He was all in the middle of it. That was one of my favorites.
That's awesome. Gilberto, Collin County Cougar for Jim Sagona first.
Yep.
A legendary Bearcat. So appreciate that story, Coach. We appreciate you taking the time. We know you have plenty of stuff to do and like get ready for winning important games, but we appreciate you hanging out with us for a little bit. And we wish you the best of luck. And any last words you got, we'll let you have the floor, and then we'll wish you well.
Appreciate all you guys do and giving, exposure to good mid-major basketball, and especially the WAC, which is a really good league, and exposure not just to the teams, but to the players. They're the ones that make this all go. And they're the reason that, we're doing this coaching thing, is for their success and their development for the future. And you guys are a big help to that, getting their name out there and letting everybody know how good they are. So I appreciate you guys and everything you guys do for them and for the programs.
No doubt, man. Well, we appreciate you much. Be safe out there. Keep up the good work, and we look forward to following the Bearcats and rooting for you from afar. I even got a little orange on today. It wasn't on purpose, but
I liked it. I thought you were rooting for us. We need you wearing that Thursday, Saturday.
I'm representing. Tell the staff we say hello too.
Yep. All right. Talk to y'all later.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, Kyle. So afterwards, this is where you get thrown in the hot seat. You get to talk for 30 seconds about Sam Houston, and then we close it out and go to the next thing.
Well, 30 seconds. I guess I'll make this quick. It was huge to get that win over NC Central and the non-conference slate. 3-1 non-conference play. They play Lamar and SFA this week. And then next week they have the gauntlet. I mean, the 3-game gauntlet between SFA, New Mexico State, and Grand Canyon. So we're going to see if the Bearcats are for real. And Lamar, who knows if everybody's going to be back on Thursday for them, because they've been missing players. The Bearcats already beat them to open WAC play. So we're going to see if the Bearcats are for real this next 2 weeks. So fun team, and one of the best players in the WAC, Savon Flag.
No, absolutely. A&M transfer, Houston kid. He's back home. So great. Love to see those guys. We don't talk a lot about the transfers down as much as people talk about the transfers up, but he's one of the really successful transfers down. We appreciate Coach Mudge for joining us, and you know where to find us. And we look forward to you tuning in to the full episode.